Hello and welcome to Media Lit, where we treat each piece of media like great literature. I am your host, Randy Elaine, and joining me, as always, is the ever bubbly and effervescent Kris Ingersoll. Kris, how are you doing tonight?
So good, buddy. I'm just going to pull back the curtain a little bit. He says bubbly and
Yeah,
effervescent because I'm smiling. I'm giggling
yeah.
over here because we had a fun little pre-start to the pod. So we're coming in with some positive energy tonight. But I'm always so good when I'm podding with you, and especially when it's a two-hander like tonight is. We got a nice little event for the evening, not our typical discussion. So just excited to be gathering with you here as always. How are you, man?
So good. Spring has sprung emotionally for me and the family. I'm coming in a little bit late tonight because we took an evening walk through a field of daffodils.
Mm.
While most of those blooms are still looking pretty bright and new,
Mm-hmm.
we're starting to lose some, but they're really beautiful. And then you were kind enough to show me how much your daughter appreciates the daffodils.
Yeah, we've got a pretty dense little patch out front, and there's the first thing to bloom for the season after the crocuses come and go. But those daffies are just so bright and beautiful. They're
Oh
easy
yeah,
to feel the emotional beats of the season. I like the way you put that. That spring has sprung emotionally for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, Kris, we're here for a little bit of a different episode tonight. I'm really excited that we got a ton of great feedback from the podlings about a recent poll we put out into the world.
Hmm.
We told you that we would like to more fully celebrate our girl, Carrie Mulligan, who we both loved so much as Sally Sparrow on Doctor Who.
Hmm.
But yeah, we decided to make a little confession that there's some really big Oscar nominated films and other wonderful performances from Carrie we hadn't seen before. And you all came out and told us what we should watch. Kris, are you ready to share the results and maybe why this is not a Carrie Mulligan episode tonight?
Yeah, certainly. So, first and foremost, before I even go there, let me just say to you folks at home, the reason why we were able to get this engagement is because you folks like and follow the pod. You've
Mm,
subscribed to us somewhere on the socials or via your podcast engines. So please, to anybody out there who's hearing this now who has not yet hit the subscribe button, the follow button, go find Media Lit anywhere you get your podcast and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. And so you too can contribute to these kinds of conversations because, yeah, the podlings came out in droves and they were very clear for us that amongst that list of Carrie Mulligan blind spots, no drive pun intended,
mm,
Promising Young Woman was the one
yeah.
that we had to begin with to really honor the performer Carrie Mulligan as an individual. Um, However, despite those very clear results, the indisputable opinion of our listeners, you watched the film first, and folks, he was kind enough to
Yeah.
know me so well that he came to me and kind of let me off the hook, understanding that the film's really heavy.
Yeah.
And I was going to be watching this in kind of a binge mode type of moment, kind of squeezing it in this weekend to try and have this conversation tonight. And Randy knew that this film and the conversations that will come from it deserve space.
Yeah.
And in the initial watch needed room to breathe. And so Randy spared me what sounds like it's going to be a very heavy watch as a human being, as a girl dad. For
Yeah.
anybody who has seen Promising Young Woman, you know what Randy's getting at. For anybody who hasn't, I hope you're on the edge of your seat waiting for the conversation that we will have because I am going to watch it and we'll have that episode out soon. But did I capture that pretty well, Randy?
You captured it perfectly. Yeah. I'm really excited for the conversation. It's going to be a perfect media lit chat. But it wasn't something to throw out there on a quick turnaround. We want to make sure we get it right. So that was perfect. Luckily, we get to take that spring energy and use it to spring ahead, at least emotionally, into the summer tonight,
Yeah.
Kris. I've had summer movies on my mind. Our good buddy Alex Marcus from the Pop Break roped several of us into a summer movie wager. So for the first time, maybe ever, I've been watching the May box office very closely
Mm-hmm.
to see how my selections are doing. Kris, we both, based on early reports, ranked The Devil Wears Prada 2 pretty successfully as a contender to be on this list this summer. So, just a few days into the bet, we're both off to a strong start.
off to a good start. I'm hoping that,
Yeah.
Bill George and the Should I Go See It podcast don't influence the movie-going audience too much in this
Mhm.
case, because he did give it the no, but I need the folks to get their butts in the seats because I was betting on that film performing pretty well this season.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another surprise no. Hey, the man tells it like it is, and I respect him for it, and I love him for it.
There's almost no opinion that I respect more.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the trailers are coming out now for these summer blockbusters, and so I'm certainly starting to reframe some opinions. I think we ended the year last year looking ahead at films
Yeah.
in 2026, but now I'm excited to zero in on the summer films and reassess maybe how I'm feeling about some of them now that
Yeah.
trailers have dropped.
Yeah. Chris, perfect framing. So here's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to do a quick activity, and we're going to let you know which properties we are the most excited for this summer at this point in time. So we are going to put together our first ever media litmus test. How did you pass the litmus test? We just had to be excited about the movie. And we picked each the top 5 films we are the most excited to go see in the theater this summer.
Yeah.
Um, doesn't mean we might not have worries or concerns, but it's really about where our hype is at this moment in time.
hmm So we're gonna do this thing, taking turns, working down from our lowest ranked film, working towards our highest ranked. These lists are secret to one another. We'll be revealing our picks
Mhm.
from 5 to 1 in real time. Um, as we've learned from our dear friends over at the House of R, in a
Sure.
circumstance like this, if somebody brings up a property that the other podcaster has ranked a little bit higher, we'll set it aside and we'll discuss it at the higher slot. But Randy, do you want to kick us off with your number 5?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm curious to see if you'll be surprised that I have this one so low or not. But at number 5, I have Spider-Man: Brand New Day, is number 5 on
Mhm,
my
mhm.
hype meter.
I have it
Listen,
higher.
perfect. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's hold it off until then. I will just say I'm still an MCU guy. This is a top 5 list, folks, so I'm not trying to go after your Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just your
Well,
friendly neighborhood podcaster.
he really is,
Yeah.
folks. He's a nice guy. Uh, I think you'll be surprised by my number 5 as well because I
Mm,
looked, sort of outside of our typical purview. Everybody knows I'm
love
a
it.
nerd guy. I'm a family film kinda guy. I'm a dad, and,
Mhm.
much of my list will center there. But before we go, I've got a film that I put squarely what I'm hoping will sit squarely in the category of, like, they don't make them like this anymore.
Mm,
Like a really straightforward down the middle comedy. The
nice.
first film for Nate Bargatze, stand-up comedian taking the world by storm. He did not have the best award show outing as a host,
Mhm,
if we're
mhm.
being fair, but I do think he's made for the role here. He's playing a dad, a traditional breadwinner, whose wife, Mandy Moore, has a huge opportunity and will be stepping into the role of her career lifetime and asking Nate to stay at home
Yeah.
and figure it out. And it looks like we're gonna have a ton of fun with that concept. It is, not just Mandy Moore joining Nate, but it's Kumail Nanjiani. You've got Colin Jost and Will Forte making appearances here as other parents, it seems like, in the school community. I'm really excited for this one. He's got, it looks like 3 kids that he'll be wrangling in this and, hopefully sending a message that, staying at home, caring for the household is not the easiest job in the world. And it looks like it's just like a ton of innocent fun, a classic comedy that maybe we don't make as much space for anymore. And so
Yeah.
I hope this does really well in the cinema and doesn't just sort of have 2 weeks and then jump to streaming like films do these days. So
Yeah.
keeping an eye on this one, I'm very excited to see it. Feels like the kind of thing that my wife and I will enjoy laughing at together.
Yeah, man, I love this. I love this pick for you. I have seen the trailer for the movie, and I think you're right to have some optimism. I mean, I will confess to you, I did give this trailer an eye roll or two, because it looks like a lot of the humor they're putting forward in it is the like, I'm a man, I could not possibly take care of my children humor. But
1000%.
but I do think you're right. It feels like it's probably setting itself up to push past that really limited view by the end. So
And to
I hope
comment
it
on that,
does. Yeah.
I think that man is still very real in our world,
Oh yeah.
unfortunately,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like, this man, you have to roll your eyes at because he literally doesn't know the way to his child's school,
Yeah.
right? But I think the film is commenting on that, so I hope so. We'll see.
I was just over here like, Bluey did it.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, no, I love that pick. Yeah, bring comedies back to the movie theater, get us going often enough. I love my superheroes as well, but yeah, that's not the only experience I want.
yeah,
Um, I went to check out the horror movie Hokum. I tend to miss horror movies.
right.
Um, I was pretty mixed on it. I was really negative coming out of the theater. Upon further reflection, I think I might have been too tough on it, and I've been finding more and more merits to the film. But regardless of that, it was so fun to be at the theater for a different flavor. So perfect number 5 on your list. All right, number 4 for me.
Mhm.
This is where I put Mandalorian and Grogu. Did that make your list? Is it higher?
It didn't make my list.
Love
We
it.
kept it tight at 5, it didn't make my list.
No, I think that's fair. Listen, I've got and Grogu here at number 4. The impact of the Mandalorian season 1 and season 2, that's never going to go away for me. I watched this trailer and there is enough hype here to keep this on my list at number 4
Mhm.
because Baby Yoda, Grogu himself, he remains adorable. He remains a practical effect most of the time. That's all going to hit.
Yeah,
I'm excited about reports that we're going to get some more time with our guy Pedro without the helmet to
yep.
put a little bit more humanity behind that mask. I'm really, really hyped for that. I will say, I can understand why this might not have made your hype list. I was pretty deeply turned off by season 3 of The Mandalorian. I was pretty deeply turned off by the Book of Boba Fett. Although the Mandalorian and Grogu moments were the strongest parts of that series for sure, the moments that I enjoyed the most. Um, but with all that stuff I'm pumped for, like, yeah, there are some things that give me pause. Like, I've got other movies on my list with a lot of CGI, but I watch this trailer and I feel the CGI in a negative way, more so than some
Mhm.
of the other trailers. Um, it looks like we've got a pretty huge creature fest. At one point, our guy Din Djarin seems to be in a pit fighting like 5 CGI monsters at once with a stick, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Um, I love the fact that a wonderful character from Star Wars Rebels, Zeb, is represented, but I've gotta say the character design is giving me some ugly Sonic vibes,
Oh,
if I'm being fully and completely honest.
mhm.
And like Star Wars in general, like I think they really need to get out. Let me restart. There is much fear
Yes.
in them to do this wrong, and it's killing them. They're
Mhm.
trying so hard to grab at everything that's worked. Like, to the best of my knowledge, she is not in this film. Like, I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She doesn't work for me as Hera at all
Mm.
in live action. I'm worried about this Zeb look. So I've got a lot of things that are making me worried. That being said, there are those things I love: Pedro Pascal's face, Baby Yoda,
Yeah.
the potential for more time with them, and I am determined to go to that movie and have fun at
Mhm.
that movie. Should it surprise me? Wonderful. Should it be disappointing? I'm determined to still be able to say that I had fun. So fingers crossed.
I love this pick. I'm so grateful you had it on your list because I
Yeah.
would have ultimately regretted if we didn't have a chance to talk about it,
Mhm.
right? It could have easily made my number 5 or 6 if it was an expanded list.
Yeah.
But I had wanted to make space for, like, something that wasn't in genre.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I didn't on that movie bet contest we're having,
Yeah.
it didn't make my top 10.
Yeah.
I I just don't think the audience is gonna show up for this the way that Star Wars needs them to, wants them to. I
Yeah.
I thought the trailer looked fine, but I didn't come out of the trailer, like, raising my fist. I think I texted you or I maybe sent you the Street Fighter trailer, we talked about it. That was a trailer that I saw and said, "Oh my gosh." Like, my
Yes.
hype level jumped a thousandfold because it seems like they're, like, actually making a movie and not just, like, a
Mhm.
cash grab IP thing with Street Fighter, and I don't know that I wanna boil Mandalorian Grogu down to a cash grab IP
Yeah.
thing. I think it's purposeful. I think it's building off of the momentum of a very successful show and 2 characters who have taken pop culture by storm and have cemented themselves
Yeah.
in the Star Wars pantheon very quickly and easily, right? Like,
Mhm.
right now, you take a diehard Star Wars fan and you ask them to make a top 15 list, like, Mando and Grogu are gonna make the list at some point.
Yeah.
Um, Bad Baby, Good Baby, it's gonna be a ton of fun. I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go to this film with Kennedy, and we'll have a blast.
Yeah.
Um, but, yeah, I don't think it's gonna make all the money, and when I think about what gets me most excited to get to the cinemas this season,
Mm.
it's not this. Going to see this in the cinema feels like I'm doing my duty to
Mm.
ensure I've done what I can to help it succeed, because I want more Star Wars. I want Star Wars to feel like they can tell stories on the big, big screen. It's feeling more and more like Star Wars is destined for the small screen,
Yeah.
and I don't want that. So anywho,
Well,
great number 4. Glad I made the list.
I just wanna throw in one final thought. Earlier today, friend of the pod, Leah Marilla Thomas, mentioned that she got to be in a sneak preview of about 30 minutes of this movie,
Hmm,
and, she had a pretty glowing review of those 30 minutes, so that gave me a little extra hope as well.
great, great. That's, again, an opinion I respect very, very much, so
Beautiful.
encouraged to hear it.
Alright,
My
take me to your number 4. Sorry.
This is where it makes the format fun because I coulda just let you talk about Spider-Man: Brand New Day at 5.
Yeah.
It is my number 4. It made my list. I've got it right there
Mhm.
at number 4. Um, I think I've talked before about the way this film, amongst this Spider-Man franchise, has me uniquely excited because of the treatment of Spider-Man and sort of his position in the world relative to his friends and family, relative to New York itself. There's a sense of isolation in this Spider-Man. Right? You get a real sense, it seems, of the sacrifice that it requires to be Spider-Man. And that's something I've never really seen from Tom Holland's Spider-Man before. They, like, turned it up to 11 in the
Mhm.
last film by killing Aunt May, and things got consequential. By that time, they were, like, fast-forwarding a plot to wrestle with his identity. It was a very
Mhm.
important secret, apparently, now it's out and everything's ruined. I don't buy that. I don't think this film franchise ever took his secret identity very seriously.
Yeah.
This Spider-Man did not typically have to sacrifice very much. He lost Tony, but Tony made the sacrifice. That wasn't a choice Spider-Man had to make. Spider-Man's got to keep his best friends. He's got to bring his best friends into the fold. His best buddies, his guy in the chair, instead of being something that, like, is desperately tearing at him because his best friend no longer gets to spend time with him because he's off being Spider-Man with great responsibility. None of that has been in this franchise. And now we're finally there. We've
Mhm.
stripped it all away from Peter, and he's trying to make his way in the big city. He may still be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but this looks like it's a very Manhattan-centric film as opposed to the Queen-centric settings we've had, especially in Homecoming.
Mm.
So I'm thrilled. Holland has a total, like an iron grip on this character. He knows Peter Parker inside and out. He's never been the problem in this franchise by any means for me. I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And the early images of him swinging on the street
Yep.
in that new costume, oh my gosh, chef's kiss. It looks beautiful. The trailer got me increasingly hyped, so easy number 4.
No, I love this, man. Yeah, I think I'm kind of in a similar place with this film as you are with Mandalorian and Grogu. I infamously am probably the lowest on Spider-Man: No Way Home of
Mhm,
all of the people I know. A big part of that is I kind of missed the Andrew Garfield movies, so like that extra nostalgia hit when he popped into that film didn't work for me. And I just really focused on feeling like it was scrambling, and it made me feel like that whole franchise was scrambling. When I
mhm.
found that take, although it was missing some of the traditional trappings of Spider-Man, I found it so refreshing and unique. But Tom Holland remains a fantastic Spider-Man, and I agree with you. This looks like a much more grounded piece, so I'm excited to see that. Shout out to both Tom uh, and that lady he's with. What's her name again?
Starts with
Uh,
a Z, Zandaya.
Anyway, props to those 2, for that really ripped dangling from the rooftop shot in the trailer. Great work in the gym there, Tom. Looking good, looking great. Yeah, I hope this will be fun, but yeah, I've just been disappointed a few too many times. I'm feeling a little bit bitter today with Marvel,
Mm,
because we're about a year post Thunderbolts, a movie that you
mm,
and I really truly
mhm.
loved. that I don't think ever got the love or respect that it deserved for how good it was. And I think maybe that makes me a little bit frustrated that I feel like Spider-Man gets a little bit of a free pass, because he's such a great character. Um, and my only other note is I'm a little bit worried about Frank Castle just in this, like, gruff wisecracker mode. It'll be fun. I love Bernthal as
Yeah.
Frank. Um, but, like, I was a pretty big fan of the Punisher series,
Mhm.
and it gives us a pretty intense and serious view of that character. So I hope we get to see that side of him in addition to, throwing barbs back and forth with Spidey.
Yeah, I feel you on that desire, certainly, but I think that his inclusion in that trailer is one of the things that got me most excited.
Yeah.
Listen, Randy, you and I are both huge fans of the film Coyote Ugly,
Hell yes.
which leads us to know that the first appearance of the Punisher was in a Spider-Man
Yeah.
comic, right? This is
Mhm.
not a character who traditionally carries really strong solo titles. He's had them,
Mhm.
right? There's often a Punisher title floating around, but this is a character who works really well in these group settings because he's a little one note really, right? Like his personality, you have to go super deep to appreciate the nuance. And
Mhm.
in like a broader like an ensemble setting, when you can't pay that level of attention to him as a character, he becomes kind of two-dimensional really fast. But he has to work still, right? He can't become
Yeah.
slapstick. And so I'm really excited for this as a litmus test for how well he can coexist
Yeah.
with other MCU characters and continue to appear in other MCU properties. Because the fact is, if he can't do that, we just won't get much more of him, right? We'll get this next uh, Disney Plus special, and that's probably the end of his
Yeah.
Frank Castle. So as much as maybe that's for the best, certain characters I might say don't do more if you can't do it this way,
Yeah.
right? But he's a character I do want to get more from, and I think that you can still stay true to that gruffness, some of the visceral nature of the character while
Yeah.
still allowing him to coexist with somebody like Spider-Man. But we'll see.
I love that. I'm ready to move into a post multiversal world. Because at the end of the day, the animated films did it better.
Mhm.
That opening shot, I was just like, "Oh, yeah, you really wish you were the Spider-Verse movies, don't you, with that upside down shot?" But,
Yes, sir.
listen, I will be there, I will be seated, and I hope I'll be podcasting about it because I do love being part of the MCU, and all the podcasting friendships and conversations that come with it make it so much more special.
You said it, buddy. What's your number
Right
3?
on. Number 3, uh, our guy Christopher Nolan in The Odyssey is at number 3 for me. Did this make your list, Chris?
I have it at number 3.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Um, I think we're pretty well documented appreciators of Christopher Nolan. I have confessed to a major blind spot or two in his filmography.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
but I've spoken at length about Christopher Nolan and his films on multiple podcasts. It is impossible not to be hyped for The Odyssey. We were talking about this last fall with Bill George when we got together for our Memento Heimer event, when we compared Memento and Oppenheimer. As you know, if you listen to this podcast, I am a high school English teacher. I've not taught the Odyssey in a hot minute, but I have taught the play, the epic poem, I should say, not the play. I've taught the epic poem in the past. Love this story, but the idea of adapting it makes me nervous because
Mhm,
even for Christopher Nolan, it's so easy to poke holes in any adaptation of the Odyssey.
mhm.
Um, he made a choice that I'm not angry about, but, in 2026, you can't make this movie, like, really without, like, Mediterranean representation in
Yep.
your film, and expect it not to ever be commented upon.
Mhm,
And I think you can get away with it if we get to the end of this film experience, and it has really latched on to some of, like, the really deep, heavy themes about life, humanity, existence. Um, we certainly know that Christopher Nolan is capable of that.
yeah.
From the trailer, I do worry a little bit. Like, I
Mhm,
can't not be hyped for The Odyssey. Um, but a lot of what we see in that trailer is stuff that's getting pulled from like the very famous book 9 of the Odyssey. that has a lot of, like, the fast-paced, like, we are going from adventure to adventure moment. We've got a lot of Trojan War stuff, which isn't really the focus of the Odyssey itself.
Mhm.
We've got Matt Damon. All the dialogue he gets in that trailer is just he sounds like a perfect and untouchable hero fighting against all odds to get back home. Um, and again, I have faith in Christopher Nolan, but if you read that epic poem, Odysseus is a conflicted man. He's a prideful man. Um, he's reluctant to admit his flaws, and he creates quite a bit of trouble for himself along the way, through mistakes, through failure to trust the people around him. Um, you know, we do get a couple shots of Charlize Theron as Calypso,
Mhm.
and quite frankly, Odysseus spends a lot of his time chilling on his love nest with Calypso, the sea nymph, more so than he's desperately trying to get home. He gets around to deciding he must now go home.
Yeah.
We get that line in the trailer. So this could just be, listen, you got to put the big exciting stuff in the trailer. But I worry about that. I worry that I haven't seen much of Telemachus in the trailer.
Mhm.
Pattinson, as a suitor berating him is front and center. But like, are we gonna get to really see Telemachus step up? Because we just get to see, boyish Tom Holland kind of smiling in the background. So I hope
Yeah.
there's a rich tapestry, for Penelope to, weave and unweave as we go through this story. But I'm worried. But if there is a perfect narrative in there, this could be one of my favorite things that ever happens in the cinema.
Yeah, very well said, right? That last statement is ultimately
Yeah.
what's the truth of all this. So much can and will be overlooked if
Yeah.
ultimately it's thematically successful. We will
Yeah.
walk this is one of the greatest stories ever told. So if he does
Yeah.
it well, if he's able to capture those deep and rich themes, if he's able to comment on our humanity, as you said,
Yeah.
then we'll walk out of there saying he's done it again.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, especially since the trailers come out, I have found this to be the kind of movie that I am going to poke holes in and doubt and kinda nitpick and speculate negatively about until I'm proven wrong,
Yeah.
unfortunately, because it has so much built-in hype because of the IP itself, because of the director attached, because of the cast. And so when something like this trailer comes out and doesn't meet that hype and start to elevate it, instead, it takes all of those things and say, "Whoa, I'm you told me to believe in this, and I don't now. And I'm gonna not
Yeah.
believe in it now until I see the whole thing and you've proven it." For many of the things that you highlighted in the
Yeah.
trailer, maybe they get around to the themes, like to your point, perhaps the trailer has to put the big action forward, the biggest snippy set pieces, the best grabby dialogue,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean that it has to I don't think Nolan's one to mislead intentionally with trailers, and I do think to your
Yeah.
point, the trailer is intentional in what it communicates about Odysseus, which seems to be this dogged hero who
Mhm.
is going to do whatever it takes to get home, who's pure of heart, a family man, and a warrior. And that's not true to the story,
Yeah.
right? None of the complications that you described are in this trailer or even implied in this trailer. And so I do think maybe the the lack of Mediterranean representation is because he did a calculation of like all or nothing. Either you're able to
Mhm.
cast every role authentically with Mediterranean representation, or you don't make that a part of the world in this story, right? You just like
Mhm.
cast a more general world population type of vibe. Because otherwise, what you end up with is like day players with Mediterranean representation and like your core roles going to white superstars that help to market the film, which looks like worse by comparison, I think.
Yeah.
But even more glaring than that, I think, is his choice to have them speaking with just like plain old American dialect English.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am shook by
Mhm.
that. Maybe it's like just what you expect from one of these like classical films is they're going to have like a vaguely like educated sounding British accent, right?
Sure, sure.
Um and so I'm not surprised they didn't try to approximate something like regional, They're not asking Matt Damon to sound Mediterranean. I thought they'd ask him to sound a little British. You
Sure,
know,
sure.
I thought we'd get more of that classic vibe, and it's both the choice of dialect and accent
Yeah.
and word choice.
Mm.
Tom Holland says, "Dad,
Mhm.
I know my dad's coming back." That doesn't feel right for the world. I'm sorry, it doesn't feel appropriate for this epic story
Yeah.
at all. That, like, really, more than anything else we've talked about, really worries me
Yeah.
that Christopher Nolan's taking a weird approach to this that none of us are really expecting. So
Yeah,
we'll
that
see.
that line did hit pretty strange in the trailer for sure.
I don't get it. Very
Yeah,
weird.
so but like I said, I can't help but be hyped.
Yeah, dude, Anne Hathaway, she looks like she's gonna be amazing. Matt Damon looks like he's gonna be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Robert Pattinson looks like I'm gonna hate him, and he's gonna be amazing.
Absolutely.
So,
The face of the suitors.
yeah, I'm sure it's going to be successful in very many ways. I'm sure it'll be a sight to behold.
But you know what, Chris? If it doesn't work out, you know what we'll finally do? We'll finally do our Wishbone episode so we
Yes.
can relive the last time it was really done right.
We'll give the Odyssey
Yeah.
justice if we must. That's great.
All right. Am I down to your number 3? I really rambled on about the Odyssey, but I knew
No,
I had a lot to say on that one.
that was my number 3 as well,
That's
which is
right.
why I
We
met you in
shared.
kind. Yeah, that was our shared number 3. We're ready for your number 2.
Okay. This is where I put Disclosure Day.
Okay.
Is that on your list?
It ultimately didn't make my list. It should, but you'll
Yep.
understand why once we get through my list. But I'm so glad you have it here. I'm
Yeah.
excited to talk about my hype for it too.
Yeah, no, fully fair. Yeah. Disclosure Day. This is Steven Spielberg dipping back into the world of UFOs, aliens, government conspiracy, governments withholding information. What can the everyday Joe do in the face of all that? It's well trodden themes of the past. We think of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We think of E.T. Um, I am so hyped for this movie.
Mhm.
And part of my hype is just the last 6 months of podcasting and movies that have been a part of my life.
Yeah.
This all kicked off with our friend Nicole Havelka asked us to watch the movie Contact and do a deep dive. And that was one of my favorite movie deep dives that we've done in recent memory.
Mhm.
We went so deep on that movie. We got so existential. We found ourselves talking about Nolan and Interstellar. A few months later, our buddy Doug Leaf invited us to Nostalgia Arcanum to discuss 2001 A Space Odyssey. And then most recently, Chris, I know you haven't been able to get out to see it yet, but I absolutely fell in love with Project Hail Mary.
Mhm.
I was back out on a long range space mission in a shuttle. And yeah, I'm incredibly excited for this film. Um, as far as we can tell, this is not officially intended to be a sequel to Close Encounters or E.T. or anything like that. There's certainly been rumors and rumbling. I don't need it to be that. Spielberg's paid his dues. If he wants to throw in an Easter egg for people watching closely, he
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
We do get one shot of Emily Blunt in the trailer with like a mobile going around, which is very reminiscent of that really famous toy sequence in Close Encounters of the Third
Yeah.
Kind, where everything's like activating. So you can tell it's at least baked into the DNA in a subtle way. Um, but really, it was the first teaser trailer for this engaged me in a way that very few trailers do. Emily Blunt as this weather reporter seemingly losing control of her voice,
Mhm.
and slipping into this, like, tongue clicking, like, mumbling, speech pattern that she's distressed by as the world watches. And that was such a great question mark. The
Yeah.
extended trailer's also been wonderful. We've got some visuals, which, are open to interpretation, but there's,
Mhm.
like, this very memorable shot of what appears to be crop circles just materializing on their own around one of our characters. And this really huge existential question that we love on Media Lit, like, what information is society capable of knowing and processing on their own? Do we deserve to know everything there is to know about extraterrestrial life on this planet? Or should that be privileged information, right? Even if we don't have real aliens in this world, we can apply that question to very real world questions about what we should know, what we should not know. I think back to one of our first episodes of Media Lit Kris that I recently remastered and put back out into the world on Kurt Vonnegut's Wailing Shall Be in All
Mm.
Streets. Um, Kurt Vonnegut has talked about how hard it was for him to get information on the firebombing of Dresden, Germany, because it was classified. It was not safe information for the American people and the world to know. And Vonnegut certainly didn't agree with that, right? Like what information really does need to be kept a secret for security, and what are we really just hiding because it's convenient? Such a compelling question. And to cap it all off, we're gonna get a chance to discuss this with our buddies Jen and Sarah over on Movies and Us, and we had such a great conversation about Tar. I know it's gonna make this movie extra special for me. So there you have it, Disclosure Day.
Yeah, I mean, that first of all, jumping in, with Jen and Sarah, huge reason to be hyped.
Mhm,
Certainly
mhm.
helps jump it up my list. I also put this kind of in the category of things you really want to work because we want movies
Yeah.
like this to get made.
Mhm.
I'm okay if this has, like, some loose connection to his past properties and serves
Yeah,
as some sort of a legacy sequel, but I would rather it not. I would
yeah,
rather know that a director like this can just go back to what he does really well, go back to themes and,
yeah.
tropes that he enjoys exploring and playing with, and give us something fresh that doesn't need to be attached to IP, but can still bring us
Mhm.
all to the cinema, make us excited to share this story together. I agree, we're in, like, a very, like, a wonderful age of sci-fi, like, you and I personally with some of
Yeah.
the things we've been covering and the world at large. I think that, Ryan Gosling was really important this year in helping bring Hail Mary
Mhm.
Project to life and making sure something like that was so successful. I also love that there's a mystery around this, that we don't know a ton
Yeah.
about it yet. That is a really exciting prospect in a world where so many things are adaptations, of a thing, and you have some vague understanding, at least, of what the plot might be. And to your point, that teaser trailer got its hooks right in you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yes, plenty hyped for this. So glad it was on your list. My number 2, though. This is where I would have had Disclosure Day,
Yep.
but this film recently dropped a trailer, and it leapt up my hype meter. We're getting it in September, which makes it eligible for this conversation.
Mhm.
Give me Clayface in the number 2
Yeah.
hype spot. Dude, talk about genre films that you want to succeed. Yes, this is attached theoretically to IP, to like a known entity in Clayface, but the general audience has no familiarity with this
Mhm.
character, right? The general audience does have familiarity with body horror,
Yes.
and this is doing that seemingly so authentically, so lovingly. This doesn't look and feel like a James Gunn trailer I've seen in the past, and he's not attached to this
Mhm.
technically as a writer or a director, so that does make sense, but it is part of his universe. That's part of what makes me so excited for this. Everybody
Yeah.
knows I also co-host a DC-focused Batman podcast, and a huge part of what we'll be talking about in the years to come will be this DCEU from James Gunn.
Yeah.
And the fact that this film is something he wants to do early, Clayface, this kind of Clayface, a rated R, genuinely
Mhm.
scary movie, a movie that with a trailer that made folks wonder if they'd be able to sit through it if they don't like horror.
Mhm.
The fact that that's an early film in his slate, this universe building slate, makes me really encouraged that he's pursuing great stories more than anything else, right after our own media lit hearts.
Yeah.
If he was doing the cash grab IP universe building thing, he'd be perfectly mimicking the Marvel model, and we'd be getting solo films for huge big name characters
Mhm.
shot right down the demographic center to capture as many folks as
Yep.
possible. Everything would look and feel like the other thing, so that in 3 years we're at the big event film, right?
Yep.
Maybe he finds a way to get us to the big event film in 3 years from the first Superman movie. But ultimately, I don't think so. We don't even have a Batman cast yet. The
Yeah.
fact that he's willing to make a Clayface movie for his universe when he doesn't even have a Batman yet,
Yeah.
that's just like, man, that encourages me. Makes me
Oh,
so
yeah.
excited that this is a storyteller's storyteller. And he's going to pursue the scripts from creators who have something to say, something worthwhile to create and put out into the world. So just like conceptually, I'm excited about this. And then the trailer,
Mhm.
the music, the cuts, the fear factor, the anxiety you feel watching his face melt,
Yeah.
the implication, the implication of a fist raised and shaped into a massive mace.
Mhm.
Chef's kiss. I almost hope we never see more than that in the film from his shapeshifting.
Yeah.
I like the idea that he might be a classic horror movie monster that you never quite get a good look at.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's exciting. And when he wipes his face off in the final shot of that trailer,
Yeah.
like if I'm the guy who takes his glasses off and throws them because he's excited, that's what I would have done. I wish I could put glasses on right now to throw them
Yeah.
in excitement for that trailer. So I wouldn't have had it on this list otherwise. It would have been something that, like, of course I'm excited for, but I'm not going to talk about it in a setting like this. But it earned its spot on this list.
Yeah, I think that's an incredible pick, Chris. I'm also really hyped for this one. As I was prepping for tonight, I think I just kind of like forgot that we were getting it so soon because that trailer, I'd heard that Clayface was coming, but I wasn't keeping my finger on the pulse, and I felt a little bit surprised when the trailer was good to go.
Hmm.
And yeah, I cannot wait to get there. The whole thing, but just that perfect opening shot of our main character in that bandage, the eyes red, um, the pain, the suffering, the labored breathing, it's so instantly unsettling in such
Yeah.
a perfect and beautiful way. And yeah, I mean, listen to Chris and I talk about Batman the Animated Series over on
Hmm.
Batman by the Numbers, where Dan and Chris were kind enough to invite me over to talk about that show, and I was able to draft Feet of Clay
Yeah.
and talk about this character that I really fell in love with. And for a concept that on its face should not work,
Hmm.
has made for very compelling television. It's going to make for a very compelling film as well. Cannot wait to see this thing. I agree with you with that bravery to do this. And in fact, this tees up what I'm guessing is our shared number one. So Chris, if I'm correct, we're in your wheelhouse. Take us to number one.
I hope so, buddy. I am the co-host of Batman by the Numbers. I spent
Yeah.
a whole year talking about Superman
Hmm.
in 2025. Supergirl is my number one most anticipated
Yeah.
hype level on 1,000 film for this summer. It was Cal last summer. It's Kara this summer. I can't wait, man. This trailer was tremendous. It's not even like the Lobo. Sure, Lobo should be fun. I could care less. Our girl looks so good in this
Hmm.
role. Millie Alcock looks like she has taken on this Kryptonian persona and she's really owning it, filling it with pathos. The idea that we'll watch this Kryptonian struggle with the loss of Krypton in such a different way than Cal has ever
Yeah.
had to. She lived on the planet. Her parents aren't a concept.
Hmm.
She was raised by them. She lost it all. She watched it fall. And now she's out there in the wider galaxy, in the wider universe, with all this power,
Hmm.
and not an ounce of it can bring back what she's lost. How
Yeah.
does that character move forward? Where do they put their passion? Where do they put their love? What makes them choose to put it into anything benevolent or beneficial to anyone else?
Yeah.
What causes a person who's been so badly hurt to do anything other than hurt others? I'm so curious to find out. And it looks like Millie Alcock is really up to the task. So everything from the sound design to the costume design thus far. I mentioned earlier, Clayface does not look like a James Gunn film. This does look like a James Gunn film,
Sure.
and that is not a knock, in my opinion. Again, he's not as closely
Yeah.
attached to this as other things from a directing standpoint, but let's be honest, it looks like it belongs in a James Gunn
Yeah.
universe. And it should. It's Supergirl, who needs to share the screen with Superman and all sorts of other really mainstream corners of this DCU. So Yeah, man, I don't wanna take up all the airtime because I know it's on your list too, it's also your shared number 1, but the last thing I'll just say is, of course, the comic book story that this is adapting. Supergirl, Woman of
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Tom King, one of maybe my favorite comic book writer working today. If I had to name one right now, that might be my answer.
Yeah.
The story is tremendous, and it looks like this wants to be faithful to the themes that were
Yeah.
captured there, even if it's not a beat for beat retelling of that story. Really excited to meet Ruthie on screen. She's a badass in the comic, an aspiring
Mhm.
badass, but really excited to see her paired with Kara. I know there were some
Yeah.
concerns about crypto being in danger for this film, and it feels like a James Gunn roll your eyes, here we go again moment, but it's just right out of that story. Unfortunately, that
Yeah.
story starts with an imperiled crypto, and here we go.
Listen, tropes are not automatically bad things.
Hell yeah, not automatic disqualifiers.
Yeah, and we know that Kara is grounded in something emotional for that reason. And based on the nature of the movie and what we know of this universe, I don't think it's even particularly cruel because I feel pretty confident that I know Crypto is going to walk out of this thing okay.
Yeah.
Like I think that's safe. So I'm actually going to start with why I'm almost surprised this is number one on my hype meter.
Mhm.
Because when I think about the things that really turn me off with a film, there are some great looking shots here, but there's a lot that just kind of hit my eyeballs, like CGI soup. You've got like this whole like Mad Max in space sort of crew going on. There's like motorcycles and CGI chains flailing about. Um, as someone who is not as familiar with that comic book lore, I am going to be picking up that comic to give it a read
Mhm.
before the film drops. I'm really excited for it. This intimidates me. It overwhelms me. A year ago, when we were looking at the hype for Superman, I was a little bit skeptical because I was like, man, they seem to have thrown a lot of characters in here. And I saw some other CGI things I didn't love. But then I went to see the movie, and it worked for me on such an emotional level. There's a sequence in that film where Superman is floating down a river of like atoms or something
It's
towards a black
nonsense.
hole with like honestly a poorly designed CGI baby alien.
Mhm.
And I walked out of that theater loving the movie. So I am no longer scared of James Gunn and some CGI soup. Plus, the vibes from Millie Alcock are so on point. Give me her in that long trench coat all day, every day. I mean, the Supergirl costume looks great, but I hope she never loses her sad girl trench coat. It's
Those
gorgeous.
goggles.
Yeah, there's this moment where she's in like a lawn chair, and I feel like they had Natasha Lyonne and Poker Face up on the vision board. They have almost
Yeah.
that exact same shot in the first episode of that show. Yeah, this distraught, self-medicating, kinda broken, looking for any escape kinda character is so meaningful. We've got what appears to be a really strong female friendship and bond that is going to form. I talks about how frustrated I am that Thunderbolts never got the love, it deserved, right? When we dropped our Thunderbolts episode last year, that was the one time we got like a semi-negative comment, because people did not get why we cared so much about Yelena.
Yeah.
Uh, they thought that was a bad take, and that makes me a little bit worried for this movie at the box office, that the world can be that way when it comes to these female characters. But man, oh man, would I love to see this thing just crush the competition at the box office. I would love to see this hero elevated because it pains me because Millie's out there like with a positive attitude, but you can tell she's already kind of managing expectations because she's seen so many people get dragged and trashed for trying to be a woman in a superhero movie. And I love that James Gunn is leaning into this so quickly and putting her front and center so quickly. And her stinger at the end of Superman was so fun and so
Yeah.
engaging. And I've been wanting to spend more time with the character ever since then. And to wrap a nice bow on the whole thing, he found the quickest way to my heart. James Gunn, you have my permission to never stop dropping Motown tracks over
Yes.
scenes in your movies or your trailers. Hit me with Jimmy Ruffin, What Becomes of the Brokenhearted, and I'm there. It
Yeah,
could have
buddy.
been almost anything once he started that needle drop, I'll admit it. But that's the kind of, like, deep yearning and emotion I want, and why not let Motown help bring me there? Uh, Port that over from the Guardians universe, go back and watch our Build a Guardians Mix episode, you'll see some
Oh, a
Motown
great one.
representation from me. Yeah, I'm thrilled for this movie, so hyped, can't wait to enjoy it, can't wait to hear your expertise and, talk about it, I hope, at length because we are so joyful about it.
Yeah, I absolutely thrilled that we were aligned on this, man. I'm glad it was your number one. I know that I can appreciate the trepidation that you approached Superman with, and
Yeah.
a lot of that is still present for this, but I'm glad that you're allowing the experience of Superman to assure you that this can be the same. Maybe Gunn can go 2 for 2 with the S on the chest.
Yeah.
I'd be thrilled, so glad we talked
Amen.
about it. Well, I think that does it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our summer hype list for 2026, a top 5 films each. We hope you're also excited. If we missed your most anticipated film of 2026, shoot us an email, jump into the socials, and yell at us if you have to. Hopefully, it just continues the conversation. So, thank you for listening to us tonight. Randy, thank you as always for bringing the goods. If folks enjoyed listening to this, where else can they find you in the world?
Well, folks should tune in and check out all of our great work over at the Pop Break podcast feed and on the popbreak.com. This summer, you can watch me writing episode by episode coverage of House of the Dragon season 3. You can check Kris and myself out on Podelay, a Beck Hansen appreciation podcast. And I'm also going to be continuing to bring some very special episodes to the Pop Break this summer. In fact, I'm going to be hosting a summer movie review slash 2026 movie preview event at the end of June. And we are cooking up a pretty special review of all of the MCU at the end of August. So that should be pretty incredible. So thank you so much for asking, Kris. What else are you up to over either here at Media Lit or over on the Pop Break?
Yeah, first and foremost, folks, those special episodes from Randy for the Pop Break have been tremendous. If you listen to one new podcast moment this year besides Media Lit, check out those special event pods from the Pop Break. They're a blasty blast. If you are looking for more of me, please first search for Media Lit, media/lit podcast anywhere on the internet, and you're going to find us. We're on Instagram and Blue Sky and Twitter. You'll find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get these kinds of internet radio programs. You're going to find Media Lit, and you'll find me there too. Randy and I have had this thing going now for 3 seasons, but last year we kicked off a little mini project with our dear friend
Mm,
Tyler McCarthy, our third host for a little venture called Remedial Rewatch 101 Community. It's a community rewatch podcast. Check that out here in the Media Lit feed. I'm also the co-host of Batman by the Numbers on the popbreak.com, as I mentioned earlier. Once a month, we're going deep on the Dark Knight. We are in our era this year, taking down the Dark Knight one era at a time, starting with Adam West in 66 and working our way all the way up to the present day, sprinkling in drafts, rankings, and some
mhm.
comic book conversations along the way. So check out Batman by the Numbers on the popbreak.com. And last but not least, Randy and I share one last podcast together. We have a wonderful venture on the Pop Break called Podelay. This is a
Yes.
Beck Hansen appreciation podcast. It's myself, Randy, and his co-host Justin Mancini. I say his because these two have been together doing music for a few seasons now, and they
Yeah.
just brought me in as their third chair for this Beck Hansen conversation. Beck is Randy's favorite artist of all time, and we're trying to give him the respect he deserves, going through the full discography. So check us out once a month on thepopbreak.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Kris. Anywhere else you want people to track you down on the internet?
Oh yeah, if Media Lit doesn't lead you to me, then you can look me up on Instagram or Blue Sky at Chris_Ingersoll. That is Chris spelled like Kringle.
Perfect. Yeah, and same for me. Find Media Lit. Find us on Insta, Facebook. You can still find us on Twitter just so I can relive the moment that Jenny Lewis retweeted our episode. And when you find Media Lit, yeah, you'll find a little guy tagging on, and that's going to be me. And I'd love your follow as well, but mostly follow the pod.
Follow the pod.
Podlings, we appreciate you so much for being here. When you're hitting up that email, please share your takes on Promising Young Woman from Carey Mulligan as well. We'd love to incorporate those in when we get to that very special conversation. But that does it for the Media Litmus Test Summer 2026, and we'll see you next time.
I know my dad is coming back.